Nerd reactor, roll out.
How's it going, guys?
See you, John.
Hey,
How are
doing
you?
good. How are you?
Doing good. Yeah, I think the last time we spoke, I asked you guys about the last Ronin, and Nicholas, you're really excited about that and seeing like what the possibility is for Shimon and Michelangelo. So I want to know now that the live action movie, have you heard the announcement, right? That they're gonna
Yeah.
make, R-rated. So what are your thoughts on that? On the R-rated live action, and like, are you hoping like, yeah, let's get us in this?
Oh, yeah, dude, if we could be a part of that, that'd be so sick.
Yeah.
The first thing that came to mind when I saw the announcement was the live action part. Because I'm like, are they going to do the Bay Turtles where they were CGI? Are
Right.
they going to bring back the suits? I think I would like to see something with the suits. I want to see kind of how that technology has improved since the 90s with the original movies. So I'm excited to see how it turns out as to the effects that they use in the movie.
And for Tales of the Ninja Turtles, the each turtle, they get their own little adventures. And I was wondering for each of you if you felt that way, especially with being in the voice recording booth. If you felt that isolation, like I wish I was back with my turtle buddies, my bros. Let's start with you, Micah.
Definitely miss my boys. I've told them, these two are, always working. So it was tough not being able to see them, but still, like it makes seeing them and being with them in the studio again so much more fun and so much. It's just a good time when we're together. So yeah, I definitely miss them. And I pulled up to the studio. I was like, oh, I'm by myself. This is gonna be interesting. But it was fun to learn how to do it by myself, and it was even more fun to be back with these guys.
Yeah, it was very different recording for Ninja Turtles without all of the Ninja Turtles together because I'd gotten used to that with the movies. So being able to record by myself and having to see, like, honestly, in the booth, I was thinking, reading your guys' lines, like, how would Brady say this? How would Sean say this? How would you say this? So having the isolation aspect kind of tie into the story made me feel better about it because I was like, okay, this is like, it's functioning on a story level.
Right. Yeah, I think it was hard definitely being apart from the other turtle guys in the studio, having that ensemble is really where we get that 100% authenticity where we are overlapping in front of each other and we just don't have to cut so much as opposed to this, but I feel like it really made me focus and dial in on my character and the type of character I wanted him to be, without any sort of help from the other turtles. But, we were in the studio for so long filming the first one that I feel like I could hear almost their voices in my head when I read the lines. So, that kind of makes it easy. And just, we kind of know what's expected. And we just brought that same energy that we brought from the first movie into the series. So I don't think it was extremely difficult.
And I know, like in the movie, I think you guys were able to like just share your own little input on just what it's like being a teenage in the Ninja Turtles. So the Turtles are known for, pizza, ninjutsu, all that stuff. And I was wondering, like, let's say for future shows or movies, is there something that you want to add a piece of for your turtle, whether it's Leonardo, Raphael, or Donatello?
Something that ties into the experience of being a youth in today's age.
It would be, I think it'd be pretty funny if, like the Turtles, like hopped on TikTok, maybe.
Okay,
like
yeah,
they just started,
Yeah.
they started making TikToks. I feel like that'd be pretty entertaining.
Yeah, I think like a TikTok outfit of the day video would go hard.
Or Get Ready With Me with
Yeah.
Donatello. Or,
Actually, yeah, that would be fun.
yeah.
Okay, I'm down. TikTok
Let's
for the
do it.
Turtles, yeah.
Yeah.
What would be the song of choice? Let's say if you do a TikTok dance.
Oh, what's the Vanilla Ice one from the second movie? The Ninja Rap? I think we would just have to do that. Or
The
what if-
Beckham, the
the emotes for the summer.
What's the song that Superfly came out to in the first movie?
oh yeah, Wake Up in the Sky.
Wake up in the
Yeah,
sky.
yeah.
There you go.
That would be our audio.
The Turtles, they're struggling each in their own way, and I feel like the characters, like whether it's through the robots or through just not being able to have their fellow brothers to help them out. How's that helped you in, like, because it's not, I don't think it's a spoiler to say, like, the turtles are going to come back together. So how is that like to help them finding themselves and then coming back together to form that team again?
It's great. It's catharsis. It's like you're so used to seeing the turtles together. What? Catharsis? Don't ask me to
big
define
This
it.
guy's
no.
vocabulary is insane. This guy reads a
Keep going,
dictionary
bro. You're
every now
cooking
and
right now.
Yeah, so having the turtles apart is like such a departure for the series and for the franchise. So getting that time to spend time with these characters individually and see how they react in these like life or death situations. We're all being hunted by killer robots, only for us to like come back together and like kick butt. I think it was great.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks again, guys, for the interview, and yeah, can't wait for the animated series to come out, and hoping for more movies and hopefully last Ronin and stuff. So yeah, take care, guys.
Thank you so
Hey,
much,
Hey,
man.
thank you.
Have a good one.
Have a good one.
Sure. How's it going, guys?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Yeah, and I know you both have like history with the Turtles, and with the Ninja Turtles started off as a comic book with just comic books, artists, writers coming together, creating art. And I feel like both of you different backgrounds, with Chris more of the writing background, and Alan more of the art background. So do you feel like a parallel with that working on this?
Absolutely. I mean, there's some,
100%.
um, and we both have worked on many Turtles properties also. So yeah, I mean, the parallel is definitely there.
Yeah, it takes a village, as they say. Like it really like this is a medium and a show that it takes like an army of artists and craftspeople to kind of like really kind of bring this together. And again, like it's working with this crew, working with this cast, working with Alan has been a delight. So we're all very fortunate.
Yeah. And then Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they're known as the team coming up together, fighting together as four brothers. And with Tales of the Ninja Turtles, they're separated. And I was wondering if, what was the inspiration for that? What was the idea behind that? Because right now we kind of have like a resurgence of just like, let's see, what would happen if a lone turtle would have their own adventure, for example, The Last Ronin. And so what's your take on that?
I think it really came from what your point before. It's that there have been many versions of the Turtles before. Like we've seen many shows, we've seen many comics, we've seen all these things. But, a couple things that the movie did differently that kind of set this apart is really to focus on them as teenagers, more or less just normal kids who happen to be turtles and ninjas and all that. And then secondly, it's just like, how can we challenge these kids like never before? How can we do something that we haven't necessarily seen before? And we kind of put all that in a blender and came upon this idea of like, really kind of like tearing them apart, putting them in the situation and seeing like what they do without their brothers by their side.
And there are moments where, like, one of my favorite episodes was the Donatello episode. There's a segment that features old school retro video games, and I want to know, like, what was the thought process behind that, especially with the sprite graphics and the sound effects that just sounds like it's straight out of just a video game back in the day.
So for this particular individual Turtle Adventure story, I mean, if you watch the show, there were 4 iterations on them telling the exact same event that took place. But with Leo, we have a comic book. With Raph, we have like this big action movie, and with Mikey, there's a sketch book. So once we get to Donnie, what would highlight Donnie the most? So we thought an 8-bit game is probably the best way to have Donnie retell his story in his own world and in his own interest. So I think when we came up with those flashbacks, we definitely thought about the character traits, what these teenagers actually are into. So that's how we landed on the style and the music choice and all the.
It's our little Rashomon sequence, like getting this moment of the story that each turtle kind of like tells their own version of. And if you listen to their stories like pretty carefully, you see that there's definitely some differences of the same event, which we thought was pretty fun.
Oh yeah, and I think like for because one of the classic things about Ninja Turtles, the arcade game, it's like a beat 'em up fighting, and with this, a different take with the whole turn base, and so I was wondering like what was the inspiration for making it like more like a turn-based compared to how we a lot of players would play it in Ninja Turtle games, beat 'em up style, and also like a Ninja Turtles video game. What would it be like? What would be the setting?
The style of choice was actually basically came from our storyboard artist, Lindsay Simpson. Like, we had an 8-bit idea, and I think for us, somehow this old school RPG style will best highlight it. You get a narration, and it also just creates the most interesting graphics because, like, we have an animated show. We want something that can contrast it. So I thought this sort of like, key in, exchange with like dialogue bubbles sort of storytelling is more a bigger contrast in comparison to, the animated show. As far as your other question about the video game, I'll give it to Chris.
Oh man, like what kind of video game would I make from the Turtles? I'm trying to think what I play right now. I don't know, like a lot of Fortnite, which I think the Turtles are actually in now.
Oh yeah, they're in there.
I always loved oh God, that's a hard question. Dang it. I'm stumped. I don't know. Probably like Half-Life meets Turtles. I do that.
Half-Life meets Turtles, yeah. And I want to go back. Last question. Uh, the Turtles, like, there have been some influences in the movies, like the comic book influences with the panels and all that. And this one, I feel like you guys just take it further, especially with the styles and all that. So, what was there like a limit for you in trying to create the artwork for this and the style?
Well, at least I set the limit is like we won't draw what kids won't draw. So like our inspiration is if there's a teenager doing something, what would they draw? It won't be like masterfully or super polished. It has to have that imperfection in it. At least that's the limit I set for myself.
Yeah, I think that like, the stories that we're telling, like we like to say that they're tales by the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like to a certain extent. Like they all have kind of like a kid slant to them. Like, what would it if a teenager was sitting in class one day with his notebook just scribbling something, like, what would that look like? What would that feel like? Like what kind of story would that be? And that was the inspiration for a lot of this, to be honest with you. It's been pretty fun too, just kind of like really put ourselves kind of in the heads of these kids.
All right, yeah. Chris and Alan, we just want to say thanks for the interview and can't wait for the show to come out. So it's been a pleasure.
All
Thank you
right,
so
thank
much.
you.